Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Leadership 101, a brand new series designed to help busy youth and children's ministry leaders invest in their leadership development. We hope that this content will help you develop your gifts, sharpen your skills, and flourish as a leader. So, are you ready? Let's go. I'm not ashamed to say it, I love the young people in my youth group. They are fun, courageous, tenacious, thoughtful, open-hearted, kind, and authentic. I look forward to hanging out with them each week, and I've come to develop a deep affection for them. And I know that you feel the same about your children and young people too. I know that you got into this role to continue to give the best of yourself each week because you believe in them and long to see them fulfill their God-given potential. But there is a group of people that you cannot do this without: your team of volunteers. Volunteers are the true heroes of youth and children's ministry. You know, as the church, we pour hundreds of thousands of volunteer hours into children and young people every year. Perhaps you're a volunteer leader yourself, as I am. Think of it this way. If you've ever wondered about the value of volunteers, just consider for a moment what would happen to youth and children's ministry in the UK if every volunteer stopped serving today. It would be utterly decimated. Volunteers are important. And with that being the case, can I ask you to consider, do you give as much thought to leading your team as you do to leading your children and young people? Do you consider their journey, their spiritual development, their well-being, their growth in the way you do for your young people? Or is there a danger that they have become pawns you utilize to help you get the job done? The truth is, you probably didn't get into kids or youth work because you wanted to lead a team. But I want to make the case today that you are equally responsible for leading the volunteers that God has entrusted to you as you are the children and young people. Perhaps that sounds a bit scary. Well, if it does, don't worry. I believe that you can lead a vibrant, passionate, kingdom-building, God-centered team. So let's explore 5 of the best gifts that you can give to your team in order to help them become just that. Your first responsibility as a team leader is to make sure everybody is aiming at the same target. Consider this, if you were to ask everybody on your volunteer team to individually write down the purpose of your youth or children's ministry, would they all write down the same thing? If not, you need to gather your team and have that discussion as soon as possible. At Limitless Malvern, the youth group in which I serve as a volunteer, we are clear that we exist to help those who are far from God discover full life through Jesus. That means that every single person on our team knows that we don't exist only to disciple the Christian young people who already go to the church. We're not there to provide a hangout space or only to help young people navigate difficult challenges. No, we exist to help people who don't know Jesus find new life in Him. And your purpose may be very clear to you as the leader, but do your team know it and own it in the same way that you do? So give your team the gift of direction. The next stage, after you've given them direction, is to ensure that every volunteer knows exactly what is expected of them personally. You know, one of my favorite passages of scripture is from Joel 2 verses 7 to 11 in the Message paraphrase, and it says this: "The invaders charge. They climb the barricades. Nothing stops them. Each soldier does what he's told, so disciplined, so determined. They don't get in each other's way. Each one knows his job and does it. Undaunted and fearless, unswerving, unstoppable." In unstoppable teams, Everyone knows exactly what is required of them. That's why everyone on our youth team is given a specific role. So whether that's running the registration or leading the icebreakers or the music or the testimonies or the cafe or whatever it is, each one knows their job and does it. We also have a clearly outlined expectation on our team that everyone brings their best every time. We don't want passengers on our team. We don't want one of the team members having to do double the work because somebody else can't be bothered. And maybe that sounds harsh, but truthfully, the quickest way to demotivate a volunteer is to waste their time. Don't have people kicking their heels waiting for something to do. They won't last on the team for long. So give your team the gift of clarity. You know, I heard it said that if you delegate tasks, you create followers. But if you delegate responsibility, you create leaders. Back when we first launched Limitless Malvern, I made it my priority to give as much of the leadership and communication responsibility away as I could, because the more I did personally, the less opportunity there would be for others to practice their gifts and to develop as leaders. And I believe that the real power of effective leadership is releasing others into their God-given potential. And that will not happen if you are always holding the microphone. Be a springboard for your team to launch off, not a ceiling that they can't break through. Give your team the gift of responsibility. Never let anybody on your team do something good without picking up on it. Remember that what's rewarded is repeated. So when somebody on your team does something great, shout about it, and preferably shout about it in front of the rest of your team as well. Don't underestimate the power of encouragement. You know, one of the things that I love about our youth team is that after each session, we do a round of what we call shout outs, where everybody on the team takes a moment to encourage somebody else. It's brilliant. But that kind of encouragement, it starts with you, the leader. So be lavish in your encouragement of your team and watch how that culture spreads. Give your team the gift of encouragement. Don't neglect the debrief. Help your volunteers to see the things that they're doing brilliantly, as well as the things that they need to improve on. Because this type of constructive feedback is absolutely vital for growth. In the context of encouragement, appropriate challenge is absolutely vital. So don't shy away from conflict. Address issues quickly before they spiral out of control and demotivate the rest of your team. Give your team the gift of feedback. You and I have a great gift. We get to invite volunteers to be used by God in ways they never imagined. We are enabling them to experience the purpose and fulfillment that comes from participating in the cause of Christ. So as much as you and I love our children and our young people, let's take seriously our responsibility to lead the most dynamic, passionate, God-centered, life-giving teams possible. And let's do that by giving them the gifts they need to flourish, the gift of direction, the gift of clarity, the gift of responsibility, the gift of encouragement, and the gift of feedback. As we wrap up this first episode, let me finish by saying thank you for all you are doing to serve children and young people where you are. You know, I cannot conceive of anything more significant that you could give your life to than passing on the gospel to the next generation. So keep going. Don't give up, because what you are doing is important.